Okay, so now we're looking at the trumpets. We've loaded up on the screen here the Trumpets à deux core palette, Trumpet Solo core palette, volume 1 this is, and Trumpets à deux legato and Trumpet Solo legato. So I'm just going to start by muting the core palette and just loading up the legatos. Nice and simple on the legatos, you've got control over dynamics with the mod lever, and I'm playing both the à deux and the solo simultaneously here, so we've got an idea of what the full 3 trumpet section sounds like. So there's the dynamics. Vibrato I've got on a separate control, I can control that here, and expression I'm not using at the moment, so don't worry about that. So we've got some really beautiful legato trumpets with a fairly decent range, enough to do most of the music. I've selected the tree mics and the outrigger mics just to give you a little indication of what they sound like. So I'm going to start with some really low dynamics and then maybe move up towards the end and show you some of the range. So here we are. So it's a pretty decent trumpet. That's just with dynamic control. Vibrato as well is beautiful, so you can bring it in and take it out while playing. I'm using a rotary knob, which is a bit hard to bring it in quickly, but obviously you can assign it to a slider or a lever if you need to. So I'm just going to quickly turn it on and off while playing some notes, just at full belt, just so you can see what it sounds like. So it's really easy to bring and out and put back in again, and that sounds really nice for solos. So that was the à deux and the solo legato together. So I'm just going to solo simply the solo. So now this is just the trumpet solo playing with some vibrato. So the solo trumpet's really, really nice. You've got all the mics as we have on the previous ones, so you can select the different mics you've got and have a play with those. The close mic just sounds like a close mic. Put the close, in fact, all 4 of them up and get this great sound. It's lovely. You've got some stuff under the bonnet too. The little spanner key here brings you up some other controls, and you can choose polyphonic legato, which is really useful. So although the velocity doesn't control anything on these instruments, it's all done with the mod lever in legato mode. Using polyphonic legato, it divides your velocity range up into 4, and low velocity will be one kind of polyphony and high the other. So if I just turn that on, and I think you can change it to 2. If I play a note now, and then I play another note at a higher velocity, I can have 2 separate legato phrases going on, despite the fact the instrument is a monophonic instrument. So I was hitting the upper note harder and the lower note softer. So in fact you could prepare 2 separate MIDI tracks, one with a high fixed velocity and one with a low fixed velocity, and record on both of them, and that's really quite a useful thing. It saves memory and also makes life nice and simple for performance. So that's quite a groovy little thing, and you can turn that off again. You can also, in these outputs here, you can tell Contact which output you want each of these. At the moment we've got stereo output, but what each of the mic outputs is sent out. So you can also control a lot of your dynamics and your reverberation and stuff separately, which is great. So that's the solos. Let's move away from the solos now. So let's mute all of those. Oh, I can't, I'm on solo. There we are. Let's mute those and then move up to the core palette. I will choose the trumpets à deux, so the duet trumpets first for the core palette. I'm going to choose the outriggers and the tree mics and go through the various sound palettes we've got here. So we start with Legato, which we've just seen, and we've now got the long recordings, and the long recordings are just as they say. They go from all the way down from no dynamics to maximum dynamics, and we've also got control of the vibrato here. If you're confused about what controls you have for each patch, right down in the corner here, it's fairly small, but you can see what's available to you. For instance, here we've got MV and Vib, and you've got actually NV, sorry, and Vib with no vibrato and vibrato, and MV for multi vibrato. You've also got PP, MP, MF, and FF. So it tells you you've got the full dynamic range, no attack options, but you've got the vibrato options. So this is the long. So if you switch to the different ones like this one, you've got no vibrato options at all on marcato, nothing on tenuto, nothing on staccato, but on the multi-tongued, for instance, double, triple and quad tongue, and it's all FF. So it's quite a good quick way of just remembering what on earth you've got to play with. So let's just look at the longs without vibrato to start with and just see what happens. So this is the trumpets à deux. So that's a really rich sound. I'm just going to turn off the outriggers because there's a lot of reverberation on there, and just look at the tree mics. So it's a lovely, lovely, rich sound. Quite like that. It's a good sound. The variation on this one does nothing at all, and obviously expression will change expression. It's just a really nice sound. You've also got some options under the hood on this one as well. You can turn on the release and the tightness, so you can change the tightness here, and you can choose the release. If I put the release at maximum, you can hear the release is very loud. Turn the release down minimum. It removes some of that, and I can put the tightness on full, and it responds a little bit faster. So there's all sorts of stuff you can do, which is quite nice to be able to control what you're doing. There's not much else you could do in there, so we'll leave that as it is. Go back to the main. You've then got these mariachi trumpets, which are hilarious. They're just full on in your face FF trumpets with lots and lots of vibrato. Great fun if you like that kind of thing. You've then got some muted trumpets. Which is very useful. You've got the marcato, tenuto and staccato patches, almost exactly the same lengths as you have for the trombones that we've seen before. Which are a lovely sound. Tenuto the same. Nice and short, and then staccato very short. That sounds way too short, doesn't it? So you can go back to the spanner and you can see here the tightness is on maximum and the release is on minimum, so I can increase them a bit. There we are, a little bit longer. Which is great. Really nice sharp sound. You've heard the multi-tongued before. We've got the same control with the multi-tongued as we did with the trombones. So you've got the variation up on the slider here. So this is the single tongue, double tongue, triple tongue, and quadruple tongue, and hit it really hard. And you get the nice sustain on the end. With a double tongue you can do little chords and then ring out at the end. Which is great. Really nice little sound that. So I like them, they're good. Then down the bottom here you've got some other options. You've got some minor second trills and major second trills, which are either quiet or loud, and also have a soft attack or a hard attack, the harder you hit them. So we do a nice quiet one. It's got a nice slow attack on it, hit it a bit harder. It comes in a lot quicker. And then you've got your major seconds. So you can hear when you hit quieter, it starts a little bit slower. And then you've got some rips, rips up and falls down. So the rips up. So with the modulation lever right down, nice and fast, modulation lever right up, or a little bit squonky. You can turn the tightness up a little bit on there as well. Make them more in sync. So that's quite good. And then you've got your falls, which respond exactly the same way. Great. So you've got a lot of control, a lot of nice sounds, and then you've got an almost identical palette with the trumpet solo, except in the trumpet solo, of course, you've only got the longs, the marcato, tenuto, and staccato. We haven't got the trills and other such things in the solo. That's not a big problem. I don't tend to use trumpet solos very much, but you've got the nice control again. And with the staccato trumpets, you've got a and then the nice long sustains. Which is great. So really pleased with the library. I'm very pleased I bought it. It's going to be very, very handy. So I hope that gives you a little indication of what it's capable of.